A Twitter poll created by Elon Musk asking whether he should step down as head of Twitter ended early Monday morning with most respondents voting in the affirmative. Musk had said he would abide by the results of the poll, which began Sunday evening and concluded with 57.5% voting yes, 42.5% voting no. Musk did not immediately react to the outcome of the vote. The results of the poll come at a time when its business faces renewed challenges. Since Musk completed his acquisition of Twitter in October, a number of brands have paused advertising on the platform. Musk has frequently stated that Twitter's finances are dire. Twitter is on pace to lose $4 billion a year after the advertiser exodus, estimates Dan Ives, analyst at Wedbush Securities. Replying to a tweet Sunday, in which MIT artificial intelligence researcher Lex Fridman said he would take the CEO job, Musk hinted he hasn't been completely happy with his new gig. "You must like pain a lot," Musk tweeted, noting the company has been in the fast lane to bankruptcy since May. The poll inspired other volunteers, as well. The rapper Snoop Dogg created his own Twitter poll Sunday evening, asking, "Should I run Twitter?" As of early Monday morning, it had 1.3 million votes with over 80% of respondents saying yes. Yet Musk denied that he has a new CEO in mind. "No one wants the job who can actually keep Twitter alive. There is no successor," Musk tweeted. "The question is not finding a CEO, the question is finding a CEO who can keep Twitter alive." Musk has sold billions of dollars worth of Tesla stock, most likely to pay for his purchase of Twitter. That has sent Tesla's stock sinking 11% over the past month. But Tesla shares were up 5% in pre-market trading after the poll results were revealed. This has been a black-eye moment for Musk and been a major overhang on Tesla's stock, which continues to suffer in a brutal way since the Twitter soap opera began with brand deterioration related to Musk a real issue, I've said in a note to clients Monday. With or without the CEO title, however, Musk will almost certainly continue to control the company's direction. After taking over Twitter, Musk dissolved the company's board and its C-suite emptied out. In place of Twitter's former leadership, Musk tapped venture capitalists and friends to work with him as he weighed a number of significant changes to the company. The list includes investor Jason Calacanis, Kraft Ventures partner David Sachs and Shriram Krishnan, and Andreessen Horowitz general partner focused on crypto and Twitter's former consumer team's lead. Some of those individuals could now be on the shortlist to take over as CEO if Musk makes good on his promise and steps down. Shortly after Musk posted his latest poll, Calacanis posted a poll of his own asking who should become Twitter's next CEO. As of this publication, a fourth option was winning by a wide margin, other.
Putin lands in Belarus for talks amid fears of new assault on Ukraine. Putin, whose troops have been driven back in Ukraine's north, northeast and south since invading in February, is taking a more public role in the war. He visited his operation headquarters on Friday to sound out military commanders. Russian forces used Belarus as a launchpad for their abortive attack on the Ukrainian capital Kyiv in February, and there has been Russian and Belarusian military activity there for months. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told Russian news agencies that Belarus was Russia's #1 ally, but that suggestions Moscow aims to pressure Minsk into joining what it calls its special military operation were stupid and unfounded fabrications. Ukrainian Joint Forces commander Serhiy Nayev had said he believed the talks would address further aggression against Ukraine and the broader involvement of the Belarusian armed forces in the operation against Ukraine, in particular, in our opinion, also on the ground. Ukraine's top general, Valery Zaluzhny, told The Economist last week that Russia was preparing 200,000 fresh troops for a major offensive that could come from the east, south, or even from Belarus as early as January. Moscow and Minsk have set up a joint military unit in Belarus and held numerous exercises. 3 Russian warplanes and an airborne early warning and control aircraft were deployed to Belarus last week. But Lukashenko, a pariah in the West who relies heavily on Moscow for support, has repeatedly said Belarus will not enter the war in Ukraine. Foreign diplomats say committing Belarusian troops would be deeply unpopular at home. Already, Western sanctions have made it hard for Belarus to ship potash fertilizers, its top export, via Baltic ports. The Pentagon said on December 13 that it did not see any type of impending cross-border activity by Belarus at this time. Putin's visit was announced on Friday after a surprise December 3 trip to Belarus by Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, where he signed an agreement with his Belarusian counterpart whose details were not disclosed. Adding to the ominous mood music, Belarusian Foreign Minister Vladimir Makiai, one of the few officials in Lukashenko's government with any rapport with the West, died suddenly last month. No official cause of death was announced. His successor, Sergei Alyanik, met Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Monday. Lukashenko said he and Putin would discuss a long-running effort to integrate their respective former Soviet republics in a supranational union state. The talks are seen by the Belarus opposition as a vehicle for a creeping Russian annexation. Belarus's state news agency, Belta, said they would answer questions from reporters after their talks. At a government meeting after the talks with Putin were announced, Lukashenko unexpectedly said that any ceding of sovereignty would be a betrayal of the Belarusian people. Particularly after these large-scale negotiations, everyone will say, "That's it, there are no longer any authorities in Belarus, the Russians are already walking around and running the country," Lukashenko said. "I want to again underline this in particular, no one other than us runs Belarus." He said he would discuss economic cooperation, energy supplies, defense and security with Putin. Russian agencies quoted Peskov as saying no one is pressuring anyone to integrate.
Rwanda migrant plan is lawful, High Court rules. The government's plan to deport migrants to Rwanda is lawful, the High Court has ruled. The court ruled on Monday that the scheme did not breach the UN's Refugee Convention or human rights laws. But the cases of 8 asylum seekers had not been properly considered and would need to be reconsidered, judges added. Home Secretary Suella Braverman said she is committed to making the Rwanda policy work. A hearing will take place in January to deal with any appeal applications. Ms. Braverman said, "We have always maintained that this policy is lawful and today the court has upheld this. I am committed to making this partnership work. My focus remains on moving ahead with the policy as soon as possible and we stand ready to defend against any further legal challenge." Former Home Secretary Priti Patel announced the government's plan to deport some people to Rwanda back in April. The first deportation flight, which was due to take off on June 14, was grounded following a series of objections from lawyers for several asylum seekers, along with the Public and Commercial Services Union and charities Care for Calais and Detention Action. Alison Thullis, the SNP's Home Affairs spokesperson at Westminster, called the Rwanda plan deeply immoral. She told the Commons, "Those fleeing war, famine and oppression deserve and need our full support." Responding to Ms. Thullis, Home Office Minister Robert Jenrick said the plans were designed to simplify a too complicated and too bureaucratic immigration system. He said, "The Scottish government are refusing to take any of the asylum seekers who are arriving in the UK on small boats. That is not right. There is a widening gulf between the actions of the Scottish government and their rhetoric. This is a major victory for the government because the High Court has found that not only does the law allow ministers to relocate some asylum seekers to another country, for their claims to be dealt with there, but they had also acted rationally in the way they set up the partnership with Rwanda. Appeals are almost inevitable, and it could be months before they are dealt with. Then there could be a further challenge to the Supreme Court, if there's a major dispute about what a particular point of law means. So the government is not putting a timescale on flight for good reason. Claire Mosley, founder of refugee charity Care for Calais, called the decision on Monday disappointing. She said, "People who have suffered the horrors of war, torture, and human rights abuses should not be faced with the immense trauma of deportation to a future where we cannot guarantee their safety." Josie Naughton, chief executive of migrant charity Choose Love, said the ruling flies in the face of international commitments and accountability, adding that campaigners will continue to fight for the human right to seek asylum. The Labour Party also branded the government's Rwanda plan unworkable and unethical. James Wilson, deputy director of Detention Action, said, "We are disappointed that the High Court has found the removal of refugees to an autocratic state which tortures and kills people is lawful. However, we will fight on. The Rwanda policy is brutal and harmful, and we will now consider an appeal against today's judgment." However, Ms. Patel called for ministers to press ahead with the policy as she welcomed the judgment. She said, "No single policy will stop the channel crossings, but this important policy will save lives, help break the business model of the criminal gangs, and prevent asylum abuse. It is one of the only humane ways of dealing with the vile people trafficking gangs who are exploiting so many people." Rwandan government spokeswoman Yolanda Makolo added, "We welcome this decision and stand ready to offer asylum seekers and migrant safety and the opportunity to build a new life in Rwanda. This is a positive step in our quest to contribute innovative, long-term solutions to the global migration crisis." Rishi Sunak's official spokesman said the Prime Minister welcomed the High Court's ruling. He did not give a time frame for flights taking off, but added, "We want to go as quickly as possible."